What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 42 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr. I took a week off last week. I didn't post anything. Sometimes I'm trying to find a topic of conversation, what I should be talking about. I've known that I've been really busy trying to clear up my to-do list and my writing project list, and it's just been kind of crazy, especially with getting the nursery ready. I actually have physical projects. I don't know what you would really call them, but like I had the dresser, I have a nightstand, and I have to build something, and I just, all this stuff for getting the nursery ready. So I've had a lot on my plate. We are 5 weeks away from the baby coming, if he comes on time. So we're just getting everything, all our ducks in a row. I've been trying to put out material for reading, or I've been trying to write, I've been trying to publish work, I've been trying to get the namesake David Alonso. I am publishing that. It's a short story. I got the cover done. I've just been taking too much on, and I need to just get organized and do one thing at a time. So last week, when it came time for podcasting or recording a podcast, I just didn't have my mind clear on what exactly I should be talking about. With all that in mind, what I'm going to talk about today is why can't I lose weight? I'm trying to lose weight and I can't do it. And I actually know why. But let's start with, what do I currently weigh? Actually, let's start with this. I got into being this online person with podcasts and videos and writing and everything because of I wanted to be an expert in health and wellness and weight loss, and I always have been trying to be some type of expert in this subject and trying to be a trainer and coach, which I was a personal trainer. I did make a living off personal training a long time ago. That's how I met you know who, because we both worked at Bally Total Fitness here in St. Louis. So I've always becoming a personal trainer or nutritional coach or wellness coach came from my own problems. It came from working on myself and obtaining knowledge through the process of trying to lose weight myself. So eventually, after years and years and years of studying and learning and being certified and training and working in having a business and a clientele and all this, I felt like I was pretty knowledgeable and wanted to pursue that as some type of career, as money making. And I just, with a website, and I did all this stuff. So, and I did help quite a bit of people, and my books are still out there to help people. But which makes it a little frustrating when I have gained weight and I can't lose it. And luckily for me, I'm not this weight loss expert anymore. So I did gain weight before, and I had to, and I was still trying to be like this. My name used to be Primitive Dave. I wrote a book on what I call the primitive eating. But when I tried to be this expert on weight loss and I gained weight, it was depressing. It was hard. So here I am posting pictures on how to eat these good meals and how to lose weight. And when I was gaining weight uncontrollably, and I it just was depressing, and it was hard on me to do that. So now I'm gaining weight, and I feel like, okay, well, hey, I weigh this is what I weigh right now. I weigh 274 pounds. I gained weight. This is kind of the weight that I weigh. This is what I weigh when I started. Essentially, in 2011, when I started the paleo diet, I weighed this weight. I remember weighing this around 2007, 2008, and like, ooh, I gotta lose some weight, and I dropped the weight. Like this is like the most this weight is the weight where I know, oh, I have to do something. Now, I weighed considerably more than this before. I've weighed over 300 pounds at one time. But to be in at the 275 level, I know that's always been like a heads up. It's always giving me a heads up, like, dude, you got to do something. This is not a good weight for you. Now, I didn't mind weighing 275 when I was lifting weights and had a lot of muscle. I kind of liked it, and I kind of liked when as the weight came on. As I put weight on and got a little bit bigger, I didn't mind it, but I don't lift weights. I'm not in any type of strength training, not doing any type of strength training at all right now. So essentially, I put on about 35 pounds of fat. It's definitely not muscle because I'm not doing any weight training or strength training at all. I'm trying to sip coffee quietly because I listened to my podcast and I thought, that's annoying. I should stop that. So here I am. 274 pounds is what I weighed last time. I noticed the weight gain when I went to the doctor and got my physical, my annual physical, and I did notice that I gained 20 pounds. That's kind of suck. I gotta reel it in, right? But then I went to the doctor and I had gained another 10 pounds, and so I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then my blood pressure was high, my blood sugar was high, and I was just getting out of control. So this was, I think, in December. So starting in December, I started watching what I was eating. Started tracking my stuff on an app. There's a million of them. Well, I don't know if there's a million of them, but there's all these apps that track your food and calories. Started tracking it, started eating low carb, and Christmas came and went, and of course, I made some progress up to Christmas, and then Christmas came, and I lost all that progress. After Christmas, I jumped on it again, and I made some progress, and I went from actually about 273 down to 264. So I was like, here we go. I'm awesome. I know what I'm doing. I'm losing the weight. And then it just came back. And it reminds me of these points in my life where I uncontrollably lose weight. No matter what I do, I cannot lose weight. In fact, I keep gaining. So let's look at what I'm doing right now, or what I have been doing to lose weight. It's one thing is calorie deficit. It's not something I usually do or care about. There's been several times in my life where I dropped a weight and I didn't have to count calories and whatever, but it's very helpful, even just tracking it. So even like running a budget when you're concerned about money, and just tracking your money and where you're spending on it brings awareness, and it makes things a lot easier to control. There's a quote is, things that can be measured can be altered. I think that's how it goes. So I started measuring, and with that I started altering my diet a little bit and kind of backing off overeating or even increasing some activities so that I can be in a calorie deficit for most days. The next thing I did is go low carb. Like, it's pretty obvious that what the damaged sugar does, releasing insulin into your bloodstream, and if you eat too much sugar and you're glycogenic store or glycogen stores are full, and which is basically your body stores sugar for energy. And if you eat more sugar when those storage basic, or let me just put it like storage containers, your liver and your muscles, but when it's full of sugar and then you eat more, then what happens is it just gets stored as fat. So by eliminating sugar and using what's in those stores, then your body kind of converts into burning fat. And this kind of makes it easy to lose weight. There's, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people who have done Atkins, who have done keto, which is so popular right now, but it's been around for years. There's so many people who have done these low carb, high fat diets and got amazing results. So it's not crazy. It's pretty much science, and it's easy. The problem is I'm doing it and it's not having an effect on my weight. I'm not like, I'm wearing pants. I had to buy pants to fit because I've gained so much weight that I'm not fitting into my normal pants. So I am controlling my sugar. Next thing I do is my activity levels. So I'm talking to you right now from a treadmill disc, although the treadmill's not on. I got this entire thing set up because I was tired of sitting on my butt on my computer every morning. So now I'm standing or walking, and I increase my steps to about 16,000 steps a day. So granted, I'm not working out, but I am a lot more active than I was when I started gaining all this weight. I would wake up in the mornings and just sit at the computer. Now I wake up in the mornings and I'm walking while I'm working on the computer. So activity levels are up. I'm burning more calories. I am eating less, and I am controlling my sugar, and nothing is happening. With those three things, the weight should be coming off, and sometimes it does. And I have, so let me tell you why I think it's not working. Like, all those things that I'm doing should, if I were to coach somebody and tell them, oh, let's do this, those are the things. Increase activity, not workout, right? Because remember those glycogen stores I told you about? If you go do a kick butt cardio routine, you're going to use all that sugar. And if you use all that sugar, your body's going to demand that it gets replaced. And that's when those cravings are going to come. And it's going to be so hard. So if you increase your activity at a lower level, you won't create that glycogen demand, and those cravings won't come. So I would recommend people do a low impact kind of cardio workout. Walking is like the number one thing, especially if you are obese. Now, I don't know if I'm considered obese yet. I don't feel like I am obese, but I'm talking about people who are 50, 100 pounds, 200 pounds overweight. And then let's look at The Biggest Loser. They make these people go through these strenuous workouts. And actually, it's funny that I think of the strenuous workouts. Is the reason I'd recommend people don't go through these, one of the reasons, these tough workouts and go and do CrossFit and all this other stuff, is because you're putting stress on your body. And that's what the problem is here. So I would recommend all these things to people to lose weight. I'm doing them myself, but it's not working. And it's because of stress. Stress is a factor that people don't think about when it comes to weight loss. And I don't seem like I'm under any stress. And so if I tell you know who, it's like, oh, I have, it's stress. I can't lose weight, and I know that it's stress. And she doesn't see it. Like, what are you stressing about? You seem so laid back. You seem like you're not worried about things. And, well, I am. I just don't show it. And that could be part of the problem, right? That I'm not letting this out, that I'm stressing out. So I wrote an article on how I lost weight a while ago. I wonder if I can find it here. And the premise of this article was that the things I did to lose weight were all stress relievers. There was nothing that it was none of the typical things that people think about. It wasn't, you know, calorie counting. It wasn't exercise and working out and joining a CrossFit gym or doing any of those things. The things on this list, I got it right here. I got 5 things that I did to help lose weight. Number 1 was mineral salt baths. I got this apartment in St. Louis, and it had a clawfoot tub, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'7", and right now 275 pounds. So I'm a big guy, and I can't really soak in a tub unless it's huge. So when I got this tub, and utilities were included in rent, I was paying this. It was a really cheap apartment. I took baths with mineral salts and just loved it, and would sit in there and read and listen to Jeff Buckley and read, and I love that. Number 2 was I started doing hot yoga. Again, we're not talking. First of all, hot yoga is pretty tough, but I'm not talking about. I started doing, just training my balls off so that I can burn as many calories as possible. I went to something that was strenuous, but what I list here is like some of the benefits was I went 2 hours without my phone. And the phone is supposed to be cause stress, with the anticipation of notifications, etc. I worked on a lot of mobility, stretching. I did breathing exercises. There was relaxation, and it was 90 minutes of sweating. Like, think about it. Like right now, and it's winter. It's been winter for a few months. I haven't really broke sweat. So to do an activity where you're actually pouring sweat out of you, I really think is beneficial and relaxing. So in doing yoga, I got a lot of benefits out of it. Number 3 was I stopped doing work I hated. I was a real estate agent, and I couldn't stand it anymore. And every time the phone rang, I would look at it like, oh, is this a client? Like, it just sucked. And sometimes I would just hit the button on the clients. Like, I don't want to talk. You want to sell your house? You want me to list it? I don't want to do it. Call somebody else. I really hated it. And I actually was let go from my real estate agent. A broker let me go. And at first I was pissed, but then I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. I don't have to do this anymore. And I felt really, really relieved. Number 4, it says I ate what I wanted. Now this is tough to talk about. It's tough to pinpoint exactly what it is I'm talking about here. But the stress of not letting yourself eat something is probably worse on your body and your weight loss than not eating it. And so one of the things I recall is when I lived in Mexico for 5 months, I didn't even know what paleo, like, I maintained a weight for 5 months in Mexico, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and eating essentially whatever I wanted. Granted, I did walk everywhere I go, and then I go back to walking, right? So I did have some level of activity, but it wasn't until I got back into the States and was under stress again, started eating, or was eating whatever I wanted. I continued to eat whatever I wanted, right? That I gained weight. So the 5 months that I'm living in Mexico and just enjoying my life and eating whatever I want, don't even know what the paleo diet is. I work as a bouncer for beer. I maintained a weight of about 255 pounds for that entire time. So now there's no question that what you eat has to do with your body weight, But this shows to me, this proves to me that there's also the amount of stress in your life contributes to weight gain and weight loss. Not only is it what you eat, but it's the stress you have on you. And for me to live in Mexico, to not have a job, to walk the streets of Guanajuato and live just this fantasy life that nobody gets to live, there was no stress in my life at all. And it showed in the fact that I didn't have to worry about anything as far as trying to maintain weight or lose weight. I didn't even know I could get below 255, to tell you the truth. So I was content at what I was weighing at the time. And the fifth thing I did was get out of a bad relationship. I could go on and on about making decisions, but I was unhappy in the relationship I was in, and getting out of it was a stress reliever, and I felt better about it. And my point of telling you all of these 5 things I'm telling you is going over this article is that what I did to lose weight was relieve stress. And so now here I am 30 to 35 pounds overweight over my normal weight. Like 240 is good. I like 235. 240 has been good for me. I think when I started this summer with You Know Who, I was at 240, maybe 240 or at the most 240. We got it on a paleo diet with her. We were eating a lot, but she got pregnant. The food aversions came, which made it hard to cook for her. And then the her cravings came, which made it hard for me not to eat. Now, I've been doing good, controlling my sugar, not binging. On occasions, we'll have pizza, and I'll have cravings for like French toast, and we'll do that on a Saturday or a Sunday and get those things knocked out of the way. But I've been doing really good. But for Christmas, I got an Apple Watch. And I gave up wearing watches back in 2005 when I left Iraq because I never wanted to care about time ever again. I thought it was just symbolic. I just gave my watch away. Like I don't care, and it's never going to affect me. The thing about the Apple Watch is that when I got it for Christmas, I put it on right away and started tracking all this health information. And one of the things that I used to pay attention to, but stopped, but the Apple Watch does, is called heart rate. Heart rate variability. And the heart rate variability is the time in between heartbeats. So I get to look at my heartbeat, which is cool when I notice that it's under 60. Like my resting heart rate is pretty good. But the heart rate variability has to do, it's the time in between beats, and it has to do with stress and your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this is something I learned a few years ago, and I try to not pay attention to, or I got into it heavily, but I haven't paid attention to it for a few years. Because I've been spending the past few years out on the road, enjoying life and fishing every day. So what happens with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is the sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight response. And the parasympathetic nervous system is what they call rest and digest. Essentially, it's stress. The sympathetic nervous system, if you are high in this area, if your heart rate variability is low, you are in the sympathetic nervous system. If your heart rate variability is high, you are in the parasympathetic nervous system. Essentially, now that I have this watch and I'm tracking this stuff again, I see that I am almost constantly in the sympathetic nervous system. I am constantly in flight or fight. And this is stress. This is stress related. And I have to get this under control. And I thought maybe I should look back at my old blog posts about the 5 things I did to lose weight. But essentially, what is this entire podcast about, this episode about, is that I'm not losing weight because I am essentially under stress constantly. And I wanted to bring it to other people's attention that if you are struggling with your weight loss, that you have to consider the fact that you are under a constant stress. And that's why there's 2 kinds of stress, and it's going to be emotional and physical. So if you're under stress and it's causing you not to lose weight or causing you to gain weight, why would you go through these stressful workouts to it's just going to like compound your problems and make things worse. Like you're under emotional stress, so then you're going to go to the gym and hire a trainer and go through even more stress. Now you're going to add physical stress to your emotional stress. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So now activity is good. Walking is good. And maybe even casually doing some weightlifting or some strength training. Like for me, I love, and I haven't been doing it, but I love rock climbing. And I haven't done it on a regular basis in years, but I haven't had a partner. But I used to go every day, and I wasn't working out, and I was just doing something that I enjoyed that by happenstance happened to require physical activity. So what I'm going to end up doing is I have to start incorporating some of these stress relievers. One of the things I have to do is get a job. My income is non-existent. Essentially, I mean, I got a couple bucks coming in through book sales and stuff, but I'm not making enough money to cover expenses, and I haven't been for over a year. So financially, with a baby on the way, I am sweating, and you cannot see it, and that's probably part of the problem. And that's why this podcast, I say this a lot, that's why this podcast is good for me, because I get to talk about stuff. And I just realized now in this episode that I do not have any form of stress relief going on, and I need to incorporate some of these things. So that's it. That's it, folks. I appreciate you guys being part of this process where I am working things out and trying to better myself. I'm bettering myself for myself. But now I'm kind of more motivated because I have a son on the way, and I want to lead by example. I want it to be the perfect example, or at least as good as an example as I can for him. So that's it, folks. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at David E. Soto Jr. You find me on Medium at David Soto Jr. And where else? Where else can you find me? Oh, Amazon. Check me out on Amazon, David Soto Jr. If you're interested in any of my books, I got a new one, a short story coming out. It's going to be a 99-cent purchase. It's going to be super cheap. And it's just a short, fun story that I decided to put out there. So if you get a chance, check me out. I'll put links in the show notes, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks.